He looks just like you. Same age, same background, same education, more or less. But somehow, he's 5 steps ahead. He's moving with purpose while you're still overthinking. He's got the job, the following, the love, the freedom. You see him across the cafe, on the train, in the stories people tell about someone who made it. You pass him in silence, and in that silence, you feel something sharp and shameful. Envy. But not envy in the petty, jealous way. No, this is a deeper kind of corrosion. The kind that eats at your sense of self. That plants the whisper. You were supposed to be further by now. But here's the Nietzschean twist. He doesn't exist. You didn't pass a person. You passed a projection. A mirage built from fragments of Instagram posts, LinkedIn milestones, overheard compliments, and your own quietly brutal imagination. You saw a man wearing your face, living your unlived life. And in doing so, you forgot who you are. Nietzsche called this forgetting something darker. Ressentiment, a poisonous kind of self-hatred that disguises itself as moral judgment, social justice, or aesthetic taste. It begins with comparison, then congeals into bitterness. But its most dangerous form isn't directed outward, it's turned inward. It's what happens when you can't compete, can't win, and can't accept it. So you start tearing yourself apart. We've built a world that feeds this sickness, an algorithmic society where visibility equals worth, and where the success of others is no longer a rumor. It's a high-definition, slow-motion reminder of your own perceived inadequacy. The scoreboard never turns off. The man who looks just like you is always in your periphery, doing more with less, smiling wider. But Nietzsche wasn't just interested in diagnosing the disease. He wanted to incinerate the mirror, because what if the mirror lies? What if every comparison is a trick played by a mind too scared to walk alone? What if the man you envy doesn't just not exist, but never could? Because no one else has your exact burdens, shadows, or strange inner wilderness. And yet, you trade your complexity for someone else's highlights. You flatten your soul into a statistic, and then you wonder why you're tired all the time. You wonder why your ambition curdles into anxiety, why your pride feels fake, why joy feels like something you're only allowed after achieving some mythical version of yourself. Nietzsche would say this: you have not failed. You have not fallen behind. You have simply wandered too far into someone else's story. This is the beginning of spiritual burnout, not laziness, not lack of grit, but a chronic betrayal of the self. Comparison, in this sense, isn't a motivator. It's a parasite. It feeds on your attention, your time, your essence. It rewrites your internal monologue until you can't tell the difference between what you want and what others expect. Until you need applause just to feel alive. Until you mistake the man in the crowd for the God you must chase. But gods, Nietzsche reminds us, are illusions we create when we forget our power. So the question isn't, how do I catch up? It's, what have I lost by trying to? And what might I become if I stopped running in someone else's footsteps and started listening for the faint, raw sound of my own? Nietzsche in Wayne 1. Smash the false idols. What have you lost by trying to catch up? The answer is more than time. You've lost clarity. The clarity of knowing what is truly yours, your desires, your path, your tempo. It's no accident. The modern world is built to confuse you, to drown your instincts in a sea of metrics, medals, and curated perfections. And Nietzsche warned us. When he wrote Twilight of the Idols, he wasn't attacking religion in the way modern critics often assume. He was going after something much broader, false gods, constructs we kneel to without question. Success, beauty, productivity, likability, good taste. These are the idols of our time. They don't sit in temples. They glow from your phone. They smile from podcast thumbnails. They whisper from the mouths of well-meaning parents, teachers, partners. They tell you how to live, who to admire, what to chase, and without realizing it, you obey. But here's the horror Nietzsche forces us to face. What if these idols were never real to begin with? What if they are simply illusions hardened into norms by mass belief? What if you've sacrificed your essence to a fiction? To smash an idol is not to reject achievement, love, or beauty. It's to question the forms they take and who profits from them. Because most of what you compare yourself to wasn't created for your flourishing. It was manufactured to control, to homogenize, to sell. Nietzsche would say, if a value makes you smaller, quieter, safer, it is not your value. It is your cage. The idols must fall. But here's the twist. Smashing idols isn't loud. It's not rebellious in the Hollywood sense. It doesn't look like setting fire to the system or going viral with a takedown. No. True rebellion begins quietly, privately. It happens the moment you choose not to believe the next flattering lie or shaming comparison. It happens when you stop chasing and start questioning. Why do I want this? Who told me this was success? Whose voice is speaking in my inner critic? This is philosophy as exorcism. Pulling out the foreign gods embedded in your mind. Nietzsche calls this the revaluation of all values, a radical audit of your beliefs. It's brutal work. You will realize that much of what you've strived for is not wrong, but irrelevant. You'll feel grief, not because you failed, but because you were faithful to something hollow. And yet, this is the necessary fire, the one that burns away the noise and leaves only what's essential. Only after the idols are broken can your true values emerge. Those forged not in imitation, but in suffering, experience, and creation. They won't be popular. They won't go viral, but they'll be yours, and in them, you'll find not just meaning, but direction. So the next time you feel envy, pause. Don't suppress it. Study it. Envy reveals what you worship, and what you worship reveals who you are pretending to be. If it isn't you, it's time to let it go. Nietzschean way number 2. Become who you are. So you've smashed the idols. Or at least, you've begun to see their cracks. The shine is gone. The applause feels hollow. The path no longer compels you. But now comes the real question. Who are you when the noise falls silent? Nietzsche offers a haunting answer. You are not yet yourself. That isn't an insult. It's a challenge. You aren't born fully formed. You aren't given an identity like a coat to wear. You are raw material, untamed, unfixed, unknown even to yourself. And the task of your life, he says, is not to find yourself, but to become who you are. It sounds paradoxical. How can you become something you already are? But this is where Nietzsche forces us to face a truth most self-help wisdom avoids. You are not your preferences. You are not your personality type. You are not your trauma. You are not your resume. You are a becoming. To become who you are means to live in tension between what is easy and what is essential, between what pleases others and what ignites something terrifying and real inside you. And this becoming is not a path the crowd will celebrate. The crowd doesn't want you to become. It wants you to conform, to be predictable, to play a role it already understands. Nietzsche called this herd morality, the suffocating morality of safety, sameness, and approval. It rewards obedience, punishes distinction, and labels anything too intense as arrogance or madness. It teaches you to fear your difference, but your difference is not your burden. It's your signal. That uncomfortable edge, that part of you that doesn't fit, doesn't follow, doesn't yield. It's not a flaw. It's the seed of the person you were meant to create. But creating that person is not romantic. It is violent. It means outgrowing the version of you that people liked. It means disappointing those who preferred your silence. It means feeling alone, not because you failed, but because you've stopped pretending. This is why so few ever become themselves. They settle for roles, for borrowed dreams, for applause from audiences who would vanish if they ever spoke the truth. But you are standing at the edge, and Nietzsche whispers from the abyss. Become hard, not cruel, not numb, hard like a sculpture, like something carved out of confusion and chaos into clarity. This is where art begins, not in decoration, but in the shaping of a self. And you are the artist, the clay, and the flame. So ask yourself, not who do I want to be, but what within me refuses to die, even when silenced. That is the thread. Follow it, defend it, build your life around it. You won't be applauded, but you will be awake, and eventually you'll feel something stronger than self-esteem. You'll feel something the man in the crowd will never know. Integrity. Nietzschean way number 3, will to power, not to approval. You've begun to shape yourself from the raw stone. You've turned from the crowd, felt the sting of solitude, tasted the strange exhilaration of your own voice. But soon, another force emerges from the shadows, more seductive, more insidious than envy, the craving to be seen doing it right. You smash the idols and immediately feel the urge to be praised for it. You break away from the herd and secretly hope the herd notices and admires your rebellion. But Nietzsche anticipated this trap. He knew that the ego is a shapeshifter. It will disguise itself as authenticity, so long as that authenticity still earns approval. And he offers a radical alternative, will to power, but not power over others, not domination, coercion, or control. Nietzsche's idea is more nuanced and more difficult. Power as expansion. Power as the drive to become more than you were, without waiting for permission. Power as inner combustion, turning pain into fuel, isolation into focus, failure into form. The will to power is what separates creation from performance. It's the difference between living as art and living as branding, and it begins with this question. Am I building a self or building an audience? The first demands courage. The second demands conformity. Most people choose the second because it's addictive, to be liked, affirmed, admired. But this form of power is shallow. It depends entirely on the gaze of others. The moment they stop watching, it crumbles. Nietzsche wants you to go deeper. He wants you to create values that come from your depths, not from trends, not from likes, not from cultural consensus, but from some dark internal necessity. Something no one can validate because no one else can understand it. This is why comparison must die. not just because it hurts you, but because it deceives you. It tricks you into thinking success is measurable, that progress is rankable, that worth can be proven. But in Nietzsche's world, you don't prove your worth. You become it. The will to power doesn't ask, am I good enough? It asks, how much more of myself can I unleash, shape, refine, risk? And when that becomes your compass, comparison falls away. Not because you're above it, but because it's irrelevant. The only worthy competitor is your unrealized self. And there's always more of you to call forth. So when the hunger for validation rears its head, ask, would I still do this if no one ever applauded it? If the answer is yes, keep going. If the answer is no, dig deeper. You've touched someone else's value, not your own. Because true power, Nietzsche tells us, is not loud. It is not glossy. It is not polite. It is the quiet fire of a person who no longer needs to be seen because they are too busy becoming something impossible to ignore. Nietzschean way number 4, Amor Fati, love your fate, building naturally from the last section's challenge to ego-driven living. This part dives deeper into acceptance, eternal return, and the transcendence of resentment, approx 470 words, section 5. Nietzschean way number 4, Amor Fati, love your fate. You've stepped away from applause, from metrics, from mimicry. You've begun to act not to impress, but to become. But still, there are the days when it all feels unbearable. The wrong turns, the betrayals, the wasted years, the lives you might have lived, the regrets that don't ask for your permission to revisit you in the dark. How do you hold these without breaking? Nietzsche answers with 2 words, Amor Fati, love your fate, not tolerate it, not endure it, love it. This is one of Nietzsche's most brutal and most liberating ideas. To say yes, not only to the highlights, but to every scar, every humiliation, every moment of doubt. To say, this too was mine. This too was necessary. At first, it sounds like masochism. Why would anyone love their suffering? But Nietzsche isn't preaching passivity. He's saying, what if nothing has gone wrong? What if every twist in your story was the raw material for becoming precisely who you were meant to be? Most people want to edit their lives, to cut out the awkward, the painful, the ugly. But Amor Fati says, keep it all. Don't just accept your path, affirm it. To Nietzsche, this is the true mark of strength, to look at your life as it is, not as a fantasy, and say, yes, I would live this again. This is where he introduces his most haunting thought experiment, eternal recurrence. Imagine living your exact life, down to every detail, again and again, for all eternity. The same joys, the same heartbreaks, the same mistakes. Could you bear it? Could you love it? If your answer is no, then something in your life is false, borrowed, forced, or unlived. But if your answer is yes, not out of resignation, but from a fierce embrace, then you've reached something sacred. You've stopped resisting reality, and in doing so, you've gained power over it. Because the opposite of comparison is not indifference, it's devotion. Devotion to the life that is already yours. So when you feel lost, when envy returns, when the shadow of what could have been creeps in, remember this. The path was never supposed to be perfect. It was supposed to be yours, and loving it, all of it, is the beginning of becoming indestructible. Nietzschean way number 5, dance with chaos, continuing the build from self-acceptance to creative transcendence. This section explores chaos, creation, and Nietzsche's iconic metaphor of the dancing star. Approx. 490 words. Section 6. Nietzschean way. Number 5. Dance with chaos. You've stopped running. You've stopped apologizing for your scars. You've stopped bargaining with fate. But something still trembles at the edge of your awareness. Something Nietzsche never lets us forget. The self is not a finished product. Not even close. Even after smashing idols, reclaiming power, and loving fate, there is one more element you must face. Chaos. Not the chaos of the world, but the one inside you. The confusion, the contradictions, the wildness, the shame, the impossible longings you've hidden for so long they've started whispering in your dreams. The parts of you you fear will ruin everything if brought to light. Nietzsche doesn't tell you to tame this chaos. He tells you to dance with it. One must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star. It's one of his most quoted lines, and one of the most misunderstood, because dancing with chaos isn't romantic. It's raw. It's terrifying. It means allowing the parts of you that don't make sense to take the stage. It means saying yes to the mess. Yes to the impulses that don't fit the image you've built. Yes to the silence that lingers when you're not achieving anything at all. Yes to the vast, uncharted terrain within you that cannot be mapped, measured, or monetized. This is not regression. It's metamorphosis. Creation doesn't emerge from clarity. It erupts from the unknown. And the deeper you go into your chaos, the more original and dangerous your light becomes. That's what the dancing star is. It's the you that can't be replicated. It's the brilliance that comes only from confronting your abyss, not avoiding it. And here's the paradox. The more you embrace your inner disorder, the more rhythm you'll find. Not the rhythm of predictability, but the rhythm of authenticity, wild, strange, alive. Most people never get there. They confuse control for strength. They build tidy lives and wonder why they feel numb. But you're not here to be tidy. You're here to burn, to tear down what no longer fits, to make something that no algorithm, no timeline, no comparison could ever produce. And to do that, you must be willing to fall apart, to come undone, to trust that on the other side of your chaos is not collapse, but creation. You were not meant to be polished. You were meant to be real. And when you finally let your chaos breathe, you'll discover the truth behind every Nietzschean becoming. You are not broken. You are becoming something that has never existed before. And no one, not even the man in the crowd, can touch that. So here you are, not ahead, not behind, not measured, not compared, just here, carved by silence, fire, and the long unraveling of false gods. You've walked through the mirrors, past the man in the crowd who was never real. You've felt the ache of letting go, the terror of standing alone, the strange freedom of no longer seeking permission. You've become dangerous, not to others, but to the old story that kept you small. And now, there is no map, no step-by-step blueprint, no hierarchy to climb, no finish line that offers final relief. This is not a flaw in your path. This is the path. Nietzsche never promised peace. He promised depth, not comfort, but becoming. Not certainty, but the wild aliveness that comes from making meaning, not finding it. You are not here to follow footsteps. You are here to vanish into the forest and leave behind something only you could create. And that might mean failure. It might mean exile. It will certainly mean being misunderstood, but in a world built on illusion, To be misunderstood is a sign you are living something real. So if you're waiting for proof that you're enough, stop waiting. If you're waiting for comparison to end, it won't, until you decide it doesn't matter. There will always be another man in the crowd, but now you know the truth. You were never meant to chase him. You were meant to wake up, to create something no one saw coming. To say, I will not be measured, I will not be mirrored, I will not be defined by what others expect of me. And to live fully, ferociously, as the one thing the world cannot copy, yourself.